How is everybody doing? Let me know that you could see me and hear me, and we will get started. All right. I'm going to pull up Facebook. We are on day 3 of the 5K in 5 days challenge. And today we're going to be talking about spiritual selling. All right, I'm going to tag everybody. Looks like 2 people are here. Give me a comment below if you are here and you can hear me. I'm going to tag everybody in the group. All right, as you're coming in the room, if it's your first day, welcome. If it is your first day, let me know in the comments below that you're joining us for day 1. You can go back and watch the replays, no problem. And then I will go ahead and close this down because I think you guys can see me. Yes, I made it today. We can hear you. Hello. Okay, perfect. All right, here's what we're going to do to start. Now you should be able to see me. Let me adjust this. All right, so just to recap, we are here learning how to make 5K in 5 days. I'm teaching you the 5 simple steps. And we started with our intentional thoughts. So every day, my goal for you is to have you sit down, write your intentional thoughts, meditate on your intentional thoughts, say them out loud, record them, because this is the most important part of you being able to grow in your business. So if you've been doing this, please go ahead and comment below. Let me know how that practice is going for you. And then also go ahead and set your intention for today in the comments below. Set your intention for today in the comments below. And we'll start you off with a little bit of priming. And I told you all yesterday that I'm going to be sharing this worksheet with you as part of the challenge. I have it in my phone right now. I wrote this last year, and I wrote it's 100 money-making thoughts that helped me make 100K. So what we're going to do is we're going to prime the energy so that we can talk about having sales conversations, right? Actually doing consults with people. So let's take a deep breath. Set the intention here. I want you to receive this feeling in your heart today. I want you to close down the eyes. We're not going to use so much of our thinking brain, but we're going to use the energy of receiving and giving love. The reason you started your business is because you care. You have a solution to provide people. So taking a deep breath, imagine that heart opening up. And I'm going to read you the first 22 money-making thoughts. Just allow these to sink into the body and allow yourself to be open to believing these. I get paid for being me. Everything is working out for me, even and especially when I can't see it. My energy is enough for today. What I offer is valuable. People like me. I like people. People want what I have to offer. It's fun and easy to sell. I'm good at selling. Selling is providing a valuable solution. I can make offers even when I'm not feeling my best. It's working. I'm so grateful to be growing my business because this is what I've always wanted. I am capable. I am likable. My clients value what I have to offer. I am really helping people. I want people to know that I can help them. People want what I have to offer. People want to pay me today. People love spending money. It feels really good to help people and get paid for it. I am living my dream. I am proud of myself. I am good with money. I can manage large amounts of money. It is safe for me to get paid a lot of money at one time. I'm smart. I can figure this out. My clients think I'm amazing. I think I'm amazing. I don't need to be high vibe all the time in order to attract what I want. I don't need to be perfect. Okay, take a deep breath. All right, open your eyes if you have them closed. and check in with me. Tell me what you are feeling now that we did this priming for the day. Yes, Ufense, yes, I put this blanket up. This is my money blanket for you all. Fense says, my intention is to deepen my beliefs in myself, my offer, and my clients. Beautiful. Bree says, my intention is to be open to receiving what will help me grow. I love this. All right, what was your favorite thought from that list? How did it feel to have that priming session? Are you leaning into more belief here in terms of people want what you have to offer? And I want to remind you, anytime we are in the energy of our business, we want to be slow, we want to be grounded. It's truly a meditative state. So when we're going into having a sales conversation, our hearts are open, we're slowing down, we're really listening to the person, we're really connecting to the person. That is what creates safety and comfort and connection for your clients. So we're going to talk all about consults today. And the reason we're doing this today is because I want to celebrate Nikki. Nikki did the homework yesterday. I saw her tag me, and she also posted on Instagram. She did her offer post, and then she went over and posted on TikTok her offer, and she booked a consult within 5 minutes of posting that on TikTok. So I'm doing this for her, and I'm doing this for any of you. When you start getting people reaching out to you, I want you to know exactly what to do and how to have these consultations with people and how to hold space for them and how to be very neutral and loving and detached and also connected. Okay? Yes. Bree says, I don't have to be high vibe all the time. Yes, that's a really good one. Ufense says, I love the thought. I don't need to be high vibe all of the time to make money. Yes. That thought is what helped me make 100K because I just said my energy is enough for today. Whoever I'm in front of, it's enough. Yes. Congrats, Nikki. I love it. All right. So Nikki, I'm curious, when is your consult with this person? And then anybody else? Does anybody else have consults coming up? This is going to be mostly focused on people who do consultation calls. I know there's a couple other people in here who maybe you're just having a sales conversation with somebody briefly. I know Lindsay has a food truck, so she's conversating with people, talking about buying her $40 crab legs, if that's what it is. And some of you might have different ways that you do this, but I want you to take this consultation formula, right? How we talk about this. I want you to think about it in any sales conversation that you're having. Okay, good, Nikki. You got it today at 6. This will be perfect. Susan says, I love the thought. I'm proud of myself. Yes. Yes. All right. So here, let me just pull up my notes and then we're going to get into this. So I was coaching my one-on-one client on this yesterday, and this was like a really good example that I came up with. So I'm going to use this for you. So when we're out there making offers in the world, right? You're saying, hey, this is why you should work with me now. Here's how to work with me right now. I want you to consider that that's like the appetizer, right? It's the appetizer of what it's like to work with you or what it's like to buy your services. So you're putting your vibe out there, you're putting your energy out there, you're putting your knowledge and skill out there, and people are getting to have a taste. So another example is this challenge. This is a taste of what it's like to work with me inside of my paid containers. So if you love this, then this is gonna have you love working with me inside of my group coaching program that's coming up, right? That's why I'm doing this appetizer, is to give people a taste so that they can feel comfort and safety and get a lot of value before they decide to invest in my coaching program, right? My Permission to Profit program. So I want you to consider that all the offers you're putting out into the world are very valuable. I think most people, right, you're thinking, oh, I'm asking them for something. I'm asking them for something. I'm asking them to work with me. You're not. You're actually letting them know, hey, this is what it's like to work with me. You're giving them more information, right? And so I want you to imagine that the sales process is like you going to an Italian restaurant. And let's just say they gave you a free bread basket. So you got to like try their bread. And you also know if you're at a good restaurant, you know their butter is going to be really good, So it's like whipped butter and it's got like basil in it, right? Or it's got some flavor. So we know the quality of their bread and the quality of their butter is pretty much going to let us know the quality of their dishes. So that's why we want to be consistently posting and inviting and educating and letting people know about what we have to offer, because that's giving them the appetizer, right? So that's the first thing. But now I want you to consider that you've given them the appetizer and the person's sitting at the table and they're like, okay, I want the full menu. I want the entree. You having a conversation about the entree is your consult. All right. Now, I was using the example to my client because she was having a hard time actually closing out the consult call. So she would get to the point where the person was like, well, I don't know, I'm not sure. And she would be like, okay, well, you just let me know. And she's like, all right, bye. And she would just end the call. Okay. And so what I was talking to her about is like, when I go to, I'm just going to say an Italian restaurant or any restaurant that's like, the menu is not my first language, right? It's either French or it's Italian and I don't know what the words are and I don't know what the food is because it's like very classy food. What I would do in that situation is I would ask the server, I would say like, what do you recommend? Or, I like chicken or I can't do dairy or I need gluten-free. And I would ask them to make a recommendation based off of the menu. But the assumption is if I came to the restaurant and I sat down and I asked for the menu and I'm having a conversation with them, the assumption is I want to buy the food, I want to eat the entree, right? So if you're on a consult with somebody, they want to buy from you. They're interested. They showed up with their valuable time to have a conversation. So we want to come in with the assumption that they want this and that they just have some questions and they're wanting certainty. They're wanting safety, they're wanting clarity, and they're wanting certainty that whatever you offer is the right fit for them. So I'll give you an example going back to the menu thing. So let's just say I come up on something, it's Italian, I don't know what it is, and I just see the word chicken in there. I'm like, I think it's chicken, I don't know what it is. And I start asking them like, so what is this? And they tell me, oh, well, it's got a cream sauce. And I'm like, oh, I can't do a cream sauce. But I'm like, can you change it out? Could you just make it like a butter, or can you do this? And I'm having this dialogue with them. I want you to see that you're just like the server, okay? It doesn't mean anything about you, and it doesn't mean anything about the server if I'm gluten-free or dairy-free, right? I'm just like, hey, like that's not the right dish for me, but can you make it this way, or do you have any other recommendations? So they're making the offer, they're explaining it to me, and I'm considering, am I gonna like this? Is this gonna work for me? Is this dish gonna make me sick? Because I don't wanna get sick off this dish. And then I'm gonna keep asking questions to get clarity to make sure that this dinner entree is gonna be the right entree for me. Now, what would be very bad experience for a person at a restaurant is if when I started asking questions to be like, hey, is there a different dish? Could you help me with gluten-free? Could you help me with dairy-free? If they were just like, well, no, we can't do that. So if they just weren't accommodating, they weren't having any willingness to have a conversation with me, or if they made it mean something about them, they're like, oh, this lady hates me. Oh, I can't even believe it. And then they started to get this attitude like there's something wrong in the food, that like they make the food, but they don't make the food. They just serve it. And then they're just there to hold space, ask questions, and find the right fit for the server. Okay. And I want you to imagine if you're at a restaurant and somebody starts asking questions and is like, hey, I don't know if this is right for me. Can you help me out here? And the server's like, oh, you definitely don't want this. They take the menu from you and they just send you on your way. That's what it's like if you don't finish out the full sales conversation on a consultation call. That's what it's like if you stop when that person's fears come up. That's what it's like if you stop and they're like, I don't know, this is expensive, I don't know how I'm going to do this. If you just say, okay, well, let me know, bye. That's like you taking the menu away from them, kicking them out of your restaurant and saying, come back when you're ready, bye. And I want you to imagine what a bad experience that will be for them if you don't actually allow them to go through the whole process, which is, I have questions, I have concerns, I don't know if I want to pay $40 for this crab leg, right? Like, tell me that it's going to be worth it. That's a normal part of the conversation. And what I want to help you all with today is not making that part of the conversation mean anything about you. Okay? So that's why we want to be in what I would call a connected, heart open, listening, grounded, meditative state when we go through the consultation process. Right? All right. So now that I told that story, type in the comments, what's the biggest challenge for you when you're on a consult? What happens in your body? What happens in your mind? What are some of your thoughts? What are some of the objections people give you? Type those in the comments because I'll address them as we go through this consultation process. All right. Bree says, I love this analogy. Yeah. It would just be so weird, right? So I'm going to walk you through, this is again a conversation I had with my client yesterday. I asked her, because she's a coach and she did a consultation with me. She signed up with me for one-on-one coaching. And I asked her, because she's having a hard time selling the consult as if it's valuable, right? She was feeling like, oh, I'm telling people to get on a call with me to have a sales conversation. And I walked her through, I said, well, what was your consultation like with me? And I said, how did you feel? And she said, I felt really like safe. I felt seen, like I could be myself. I felt like I could say anything. I felt like you held space for me. I felt like I was a little bit scared, and also it was okay for me to be scared. I felt like there was like some safety, and I started to get hopeful and excited for what I could create in my life. And I said, that's amazing, right? Like she got those feelings from having the call with me. And then I asked her, do you remember when I told you about the problem and the solution? She's like, actually, I don't really remember the exact conversation. She's like, I just remember we said, we're going to put all my pieces back together. And I was like, yeah, exactly. It's more about the connection. It's more about the feeling when you're having that conversation with the person, because we want them to feel safe, right? We want them to feel safe, seen, and heard. We also want them to feel safe to say no, but we also want them to feel safe to have thoughts, fears, and questions, and to be able to have a long conversation about thoughts, fears, and questions. So what I offered to her is I said, okay, I want you to, and so when we got to the end of the call, she was making a decision whether or not to work with me. We spent about 20 minutes talking about her thoughts and her fears and the worst case scenarios. And I just sat there and listened. And I just sat there and was like, yeah, these are all true. It makes sense. And then I brought her back to, but this is what we can create together. So it's okay if it's scary. And if this is what you want, this is what we can create. And I just allowed that space for her to be there. But what I said to her was, like, imagine your experience as the client. If you came to the consult and as soon as you said, I don't know if I can afford this, I was like, okay, let me know if you want to do this another time. Bye. And I just got off the call. And I didn't spend 20 minutes helping her sit with her feelings. And I said, how would that have been for you? And she said, that would have been the worst. Like, you would have left me on the call feeling shame, feeling afraid, like being at my lowest point and like believing my worst fears. And I was like, yeah, it would have not been in service for me to just, when her first objection came up, when her first fear came up, it would have not been in service of her at all to be like, all right, good luck. Bye. Let me know if you want to do this. The highest service is sitting with them, knowing that their brain is going to want to stay stuck exactly where they are, knowing that their brain, no matter what your price is going to go, that's too expensive. Knowing that they're going to want to be like, I don't know, this is too much work, feels like I can't do it. That's what the human brain does. So what I want to teach you is how to do the whole consultation process, including being able to sit there and hold space for the human brain. That's all it is. The human brain wants to protect us, wants to keep us safe, and it definitely thinks, especially when it's about to spend money, it really wants to make sure we're spending money on the right thing. Okay? So we want to remove all of the emotion for ourselves from that process. All right, I'm going to check the comments and then we'll go into the steps. All right. Hi, Ashley. Hi, Sydney. Okay. Am I being too pushy? Yep. That's a really good thing that people have come up with. Or talking too much and overwhelming them. Really good, Sydney. I'm glad you brought that up. Ufense says, I get a lot of yeses then nos. So people ghosting me afterwards and not filling up to the first call. Really good. Nikki says, my biggest problem is the okay, just let me know circumstance when people need time to think or talk to a parent. I feel like young adults get closed off because it's a big money decision that they've never had to make before. Yes, these are really good ones. Okay. So let me walk you through the process I use to do consults. The most important thing is what you do an hour before the consult. So what I do an hour before, I call this the panic to purpose process. I will go and meditate and be with all of my fears, right? So all of you are here because you want to make 5K in 5 days or 5K in this month or 10K months. And so you'll already have an attachment to like, I want to make money. And that's totally fine. That's step one, right? And then if you have business expenses or you have personal expenses to pay, your brain might be going, oh my gosh, I have a bill. I'm afraid. I'm panicking. Anytime we're in panic, we're not able to be present with our client. So step one is you go into a meditative process. What I like to do is I go outside or I like to lay down somewhere. So I'll lay down, I'll listen to music, or I'll just tune into my body and do some deep breathing. I'll put a hand on my heart. I'll ask my body, what are you feeling right now? What's going on? And when this is happening, I'm usually feeling deep fear. I'm like, this is so scary. I'm not going to be able to pay this bill. Or what if this doesn't work out? Or what if they say no? What if I get rejected? And I'm just there feeling all of it. And as the sensation comes up in my body, usually in my heart, I just take a couple deep breaths. And I say, of course you would feel this way. Of course, this is scary. You're doing one of the most scariest things, having your own business, creating your own money, creating your own future. And I just breathe, and then I allow my body to shake or cry or scream, whatever I need to do to be with that energy in my body. And I'll also, as I'm exhaling, allow the energy to go down through my feet into the earth, and I'll just send a prayer to say, Mother Earth, transform this back into love. Transform this fear back into love. I am safe. I am safe. I am safe. And I'll let myself feel all the fear. And I'll do this for 5 to 10 minutes, however long it takes, till the tears stop coming. And then I'll shift into presence. So at that moment, I'll open my eyes and I'll just become present with something in the room. Or if I'm doing this outside, I'll become present. I'll look up at the trees. I'll just be present with it, whatever's there. So if I'm looking up at the tree, I'm just watching the leaves moving. I'm seeing the sun dance through the trees. I might see a little ant walking on by. And I'm just present in this moment. In this moment, I am safe. In this moment, I have this delicious water. In this moment, I have a roof over my head. I am safe. I am so grateful. Look what I have here. I'm okay. And I come back into presence, into this now reality, not the future reality in which a bill is due. I stay right here, right now. Okay? Then I go into the third process. The third process is the purpose process, right? So we started in panic, then we moved into presence, now we go into purpose. So when I move into purpose, I go, well, why am I doing this? Why would I be willing to feel this much fear in my body, to put myself out there to potentially be rejected? What's the purpose? And I think of the person who I'm about to get on the consult with, even if I don't know them. I just connect with the energy. I connect with their heart. I think about how their life will change. I think about what is possible for them. I think about my own transformation when I spent $5,000 to go to Bali. It was all of the money I had. I didn't even have the money. I said yes to it. I didn't even have the money yet. I was like, I'll figure it out. And how that was the most transformative process in my life. And had I not done that, I wouldn't have made 100K because I wouldn't have taken that first step. So I think back to my own process, and then I think to my clients, and I'm like, of course, this is going to be scary. That's okay. And by doing this, this is what you're going to get. This is the best investment you can ever make. And I go to my journal And I write down all the reasons why this is the best thing for them. They will love it. Their life will be changed. It's okay for them to be scared. And I write it down for like 10 minutes. And then at the end, I write, and it's totally okay if you choose to say no today. So I build up all this belief and all this energy of, yes, this is going to be amazing. This is the best thing. Totally. You should do this. And it's okay that you have fear. And then I go, and it's okay if you're going to say no today. If it's just too much fear, if it's just too much money for your capacity right now, that's okay. So I get myself to deep, deep heart connection. And then I get myself to neutral detachment. So I'm holding space for both. Okay? This is the most important process for you to do in your consultation. If you can get yourself to connection and you can separate your own fear, then whatever happens on the consult is going to be fine because you're connected, you're present, you're listening, you're loving, and you're holding space for them. And at the end, you're creating safety for them to say yes or no. Either way, you're going to be fine. Okay, so the reason I spend so much emphasis on this is because I'm going to teach you the consultation process I use, but because I work with perfectionists, I know what y'all do. Y'all try to get the process perfect. And when you try to get the process perfect, you end up losing connection with your client. So I want you to just think the thought, me being present and connected and listening is the most important thing for this next hour. Okay? All right. So now, when you get on the call, there's a couple steps that we want to do. Okay? The goal of the entire call is to create safety for the client. So if we go back to the conversation we're having with the server at the restaurant, if they are like not letting me ask questions and they don't know what gluten-free is and they're kind of getting like defensive with me, I don't feel safe there. I will never come back to that restaurant. My favorite interactions at restaurants is when they're like, yes, I think we can do that. Let me go ask the chef. I'll be right back. Or they're like, you know what we can do? We can put this salad together with this thing and put the chicken on it. You're going to love it. It's going to be so good. Right? And they're understanding. And they're like, yes, we're going to do whatever it takes to help you get the result you want, which is a delicious meal that's not going to hurt your stomach. Right? So we want to create safety for them to ask questions, and we want to create safety for them to make a decision on the call. And for those of you who are not coaches, I want to explain this to you. For those of you who are coaches, I think you'll understand this. And this is why it's really essential, I think, for you to learn sales from a coach. Because a coach actually understands what's going on in the human brain, right? That's why I'm going to continue to invite you all to come into my group program where I'm going to teach you about sales and marketing and psychology, because you're going to learn how to coach yourself during the sales process. So this is what we do inside of Permission to Profit. We'll go into it in depth, but I'm giving you a taste of it today. My understanding of sales is at a higher level because of the fact I'm a coach. And you're going to see the insight into the human brain here, and it's going to help you detach it from your personal thoughts and feelings and your personal self-worth, okay? So at the beginning of the call, we want to do an intro/connection, all right? First 3 to 5 minutes is your intro/connection, okay? So what I like to do is we get on Zoom, I'm smiling, I'm ready, I'm like, hey, you're muted. And then I say, hey, like, great to see you. Great to see you. So excited to talk to you today, but I try to match the energy that they're at, right? Because nobody wants to be on a call with somebody who's super hyper if they're like feeling really challenged or they're feeling really scared. And they're like, I'm going to talk about my deepest, darkest secrets today. So I match the energy they're at. I say, hey, so great to connect with you. I say, how did you first find me? Like, where did you find me? And then they'll be like TikTok or Instagram or I'm on your email list. I'm like, that's so amazing. Then I'll ask them where they live. I might ask them another little thing. I might see something in their environment and be like, oh my gosh, your cat is so cute, right? So we just take a couple moments to connect on a human level. I only do that for 1 to 3 minutes, like very brief, or maybe even 30 seconds. Because the second thing you want to do, step 2, is set the stage, okay? And I want you to understand, let's go back to the restaurant idea. Like pretty much all of us understand the flow of restaurants. Unless you've been to a different restaurant. And I've been to like a Japanese restaurant where it was very different. I didn't know what to do. When we don't know what to do, we feel very uncomfortable. We feel very unsafe. But traditionally, right, your hostess is going to seat you, and then your server's going to come over, ask you for your drink order and maybe your appetizers. They're going to give you a couple minutes to look at the menu. They're going to deliver the drinks. And then they're going to ask you, are you ready to order? Right? Now, when I went to this other restaurant, it was a Japanese restaurant. It was different. I didn't know what to do. I felt so uncomfortable the whole time. I was like, because it was something that you prepaid for and they brought out like 7 courses. And like, I was like, I don't know what to do with my hands. And I was so uncomfortable, right? But if they had come and said, hey, welcome, is this your first time? Great, here's what we're going to do today. We're going to start with sake. We're going to bring the appetizer out. And then about every 15 or 20 minutes or so, we're going to bring out another dish for you. You're going to have about 10 dishes coming out today. And we'll be here together for about 2 hours. If they had said that to me, I would have felt much more comfortable. Okay, so this is what you want to do on your consult. You want to set the stage. So typically, this is how I say the consult. I say, great. So here's what we're going to do today. We're going to spend the first 3 minutes. I just want to hear your story. I want to hear what brought you to the call today. I want to hear anything that's coming up for you today. Any challenges, any thoughts, any feelings. We'll do that for the first 3 minutes. Then I'm going to take you through my assessment. It's fairly quick. It's going to be a lot of you talking, a lot of me asking questions and taking a lot of notes. And then if you feel like you're rambling or going off, I'll just redirect you to make sure I'm getting the information. And then the third part of what we're going to do is I'm going to find out what's going on for you. I'm going to give you my solution and how we'd work together. And then at the end of the call, we'll make a decision whether it feels like a good fit to work together or not. How does that sound? So we set the stage, we get permission. Now, your consult might be a little bit different, but this is the loose format. I like to find out what their problem is, specifically in their words. And then what I'm going to do is offer the solution and then say, this is what it looks like to work together. This is what it looks like for the investment. Okay? So step 2 is we set the stage. Okay? Now, we talked about step 3 is like get a little bit of brief info, right? Get a little bit of brief info, 3 to 5 minutes. Tell me what brought you to the call today. Tell me why you're wanting to do this now. Those are really good questions to ask. Okay? Next, we want to do, I'm going to call it the assessment or the questions. Okay? So this part, I want you to think of like a doctor's prescription. So you go into the doctor, you tell them, these are all my symptoms. They're like, okay. And then they're going to give you a prescription. So those doctors are going to ask you specific questions based on your symptoms, right? So I'm going to use Bree as an example because Bree's on here and she is a client of mine. She's a one-on-one client of mine. I know her product, so I'm going to use her as an example. She offers an organizing coaching service. It's 6 months long. So when she's doing this consultation, she might be like, well, what's going on for you? Why did you come to me right now? And they're going to say like, well, the holidays are coming up. My entire family is going to be here. My mother-in-law is so judgmental. Like I need to have the place cleaned. And I have family coming in the spring and I'm just like stressed out and I want my house to be clean once and for all. It ends up getting messy. And then I have to like figure out how to clean it. And I just want to be a clean person because we have a lot of family coming over the next couple months. And Bree's like, great. Let me ask you these questions. And then she would have specific questions to say, all right, and I'm making these up, but this is what I would say. Like, what are your main areas of concern? What's the area that causes you the most concern in the house right now? And they might be like living room. Great. Tell me what you need to change in that living room for it to feel better. And they might tell you some about that. Then say, what's the next space? Like, what are the 3 areas that you want to work on, right? So you're getting a little bit of clarity. And you want to I teach doing an hour-long consultation, so you really have enough time to talk to them. You should be talking to them at least 20 minutes asking them questions about what they want, asking them questions about what they would like it to look like, right? So Bree's not just going to ask, like, what's the problem? She's also going to say, well, what do you want your living room to feel like? How's that going to change when your family comes over? What's that going to change for you? And that person may say, well, I would feel less stressed. I could be more present with the kids. I could watch a movie with the grandkids. I wouldn't be running around cleaning. I wouldn't be trying to hide stuff in closets. I wouldn't feel embarrassed. I wouldn't feel like my mother-in-law is judging me, right? Okay. So we go through the assessment and we ask a bunch of questions. So for you right now, in this moment, you can kind of think of what questions would be important for me to ask my clients, right? All right. Then we're going to go on to step 5, which is your solution. Okay. So step 5 is your solution. So I'm going to use Bree as an example here too. And again, I'm just making this up. But Bree might say, okay, I hear that you have 3 big challenge areas. It's the living room, it's the playroom, and then it's the master bedroom. She would say, this is what I'm going to start with. So I work with my clients over 6 months. I help them declutter physically. I come to their house and help them declutter physically once a month. And then I coach them on Zoom every week for 30 minutes. And we break each project down into bite-sized projects. So I teach you how to do the organizing, but then I also coach you on the mindset necessary to keep your house clean and be able to do little organizing sessions and create new habits for you. So that's how my coaching program works. And what we would do is we'd actually start with the master bedroom first, because when you have the master bedroom, you feel peaceful and calm. And when you wake up feeling peaceful and calm, it's then going to motivate you to go to the living room and do your 10 minutes of organizing, which is what I'm going to teach you. So over this process, you're going to learn how to organize. You're going to learn how to make it a habit. You're going to learn how to declutter before it gets like too much. And you're still going to be able to keep the things that you love. But what my clients love about working with me is that we get to meet every single month. So they have accountability for doing that decluttering, right? And then at that point, after the solution, you want to pause and ask them, how does that sound? How does that sound? They might be like, sounds good. And then you want to pause a little bit longer and say, are there any questions about the process? Is it clear? Does it make sense? And they'll be like, yeah, it makes sense to me. You'll be like, great. Now at this point, does this feel like something you'd like to learn more about? Would you like to move forward on it? Just tell me everything that's coming up for you. And then they can let you know, right? This is when we start to go into like the price, the investment, and what that looks like, right? So we want to pause and ask that question. And now we say, okay, is this something you'd like to learn more about? You go, yes. Now it depends on your industry, but this might be useful for you to get a gauge on like, you want to find out what's going on in their head before you have the conversation about the money. So you would say like, okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, how committed are you to getting this house cleaned up, to being able to have a clean and peaceful house? On a scale of 1 to 10, how committed? And then that's going to gauge where they are. And they might be like, okay, I'm at a 6 or I'm at a 7. You'd be like, great. Why is it a 6 or a 7? Why isn't it closer to a 10? And they'll be like, well, it seems like a lot of work, a lot of time. It's probably going to be an investment. And you're like, okay, great. And we could talk about all of that, right? So you're just finding out what's going on in their head. And again, you're not making it anything about you. So this would be like the point when the waiter has the menu and you're like, well, I don't really know what to get. I'm hungry. I'm committed at a level 10 to eat, but I don't know exactly which dish to get, right? And I'm really concerned about which the right dish for me. So at that point, you go into, well, would you like to know how to work together? We can talk about the investment, and then we can talk about any other thoughts and feelings that you have coming up. And you ask permission. They're like, okay. So then you can go into the investment, right? And we're always talking about investment because they're getting a return. They're getting a value from what it is that you're offering them. So at this point you say, okay, so this is a reminder. This is what the package looks like. It's 6 months. I come to your house once a month, and then every single week I'll meet with you with many organization projects. It's going to feel fun. It's going to feel easy. You're going to feel accomplished. And the result is you are going to have a clean home for the rest of your life. It'll only take 6 months for us to do this together, but you're going to know how to do this for the rest of your life. How does that sound? Right? So you're remembering this is a result that they're paying for, right? It's not just an investment. They're not just losing the money. They're learning a new skill. They're having a transformation, or they're getting an experience, right? And so at this time, you could say, my 6-month program is an investment of $2,500. You can pay in full, or you can do a payment plan. And then you pause. You have to pause, okay? So we are now saying the words. We're leaning back in our chair because you're going to have thoughts and feelings coming up in your body, right? We started off the call very meditative, very connected. Now you might be triggered by having a money conversation because of your own thoughts and feelings. So you're just going to say it. Take a couple deep breaths. You're going to lean back. You're going to slow down. And you're going to let the pause be there. They just had a lot of information. They need some time to process. Just let them sit with that. Now, as they sit with that, if you're noticing they're silent for like a minute, you could say, what are your thoughts? They're probably going to say, that feels expensive. That feels like too much. And you take a deep breath. You can agree with them. You can say, yeah, this is definitely an investment. And then you sit there and you say, the next thing that comes up for you, which is back to their results. This is an investment, and this is going to get you what you wanted, which is being able to have a clean house for the rest of your life. And it's going to allow you to save time and be able to spend time with your grandkids. At this moment, do you think that's something that you'd like to do? Is that something that's still important to you? Right? So at this moment, you're just slowing down. You're just asking questions. And you're normalizing the fact that their brain is going to say, this is expensive. I don't know if I want to do this. Right? Same thing when we're at a restaurant. When I'm looking at buying a $45 steak, I'm like, do I want that steak? Like, I really want to make sure this is the right thing I'm ordering off the menu. I want to enjoy this steak. And so I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to make sure that that's the thing I'm going to order. So now you're just leaning back, sitting there, asking questions, and redirecting them to the result. Okay? Now, here's the point where they're going to get uncomfortable because the human brain does not like to make decisions. The human brain is lazy. It wants to delay decisions. It doesn't want to move forward with things. And so at this point, you can just say, totally understand. You have some thoughts. You have some feelings. I'm happy to sit here with you and answer any questions you have. But my goal here is to have you completely understand what the process is, completely understand what the result is, and at least make a decision today on whether you'd like to move forward now or maybe sometime in the future. And I always say the reason why I like to do this is just because a lot of people have a lot of decisions that they're delaying. And my goal is just to help you get clear on, is this investment right for you today? And so I'm happy to answer any more questions on if this is where you want to spend your money. And it's also okay if it's not. But let's just be able to make a clear decision so that you're clear, so that you don't have to like waste a whole bunch of brain energy thinking about this after the call today. Like truly, that is like, I want you to think about when you drag your feet on a decision, how much energy that takes. And especially for using Bree as an example, she helps people clear clutter, right? And she's helped me with my clutter. And what do we do when we're holding on to things? We're like, well, I don't know what to do with this. Should I donate it? What should I do? We're in a constant state of questioning. And when we're in a constant state of questioning, we don't have any energy. And then it feels like we don't have any time because we're constantly in our head. So what I would offer for Bree and anybody else in this moment is just to say, I really just like to help people make decisions one way or the other so that they can get clear, so they can check this off their list. So what would you like to do today? If we wanted to get started, here's what it would look like. If it's a no, that's also okay. What are you thinking right now? And then at that point, I'll usually say, like, we've got 5 minutes left. Is there any other questions you have? And if they say, I'm going to talk to my husband, I have to think about it, I would say, that's really great. I totally understand. Our brain loves to think about things. And I say, if you were going to think about some things, what would you think about? Like, let's just find out what the questions are so I can answer them for you so you have clarity. And then you can find out, like, well, what is this? Well, what is this? Because usually what's going to happen is they're going to go back to, we talked about the belief triad, right? The thoughts about you, the thoughts about the process, and the thoughts about themselves. So at this point, you can just say something like, at this point, a lot of times people, they want to think about it, and I help them uncover what's going on in their head. And so usually there's one of three things. Either the process wasn't really clear, or you have some questions about me and maybe my experience, or you're having some questions about your ability to follow through on this package, on this commitment for 6 months. If it was one of those three, which one do you think it would be? And at that point, they can just be like, yeah, it feels like a lot. I don't know if I can do this. And then again, you can be like, yeah, I understand. I'm teaching you a lifelong skill that's going to transform the way you live your life. So your brain right now is totally going to think it's a lot. But what I know to be true is my clients that don't do the clutter coaching, they pay me so much more money because I keep having to come back to their house because it keeps being a mess. And they end up spending $600 a month on me, $700 a month, whatever that is. So I know it feels like a lot right now, but if you just commit to getting it done in 6 months, it's going to change the way your house looks for the rest of your life. And it's going to save you money on decluttering. It's going to save you time on having to go through things. It's going to save you money from like losing things and forgetting you have it and buying duplicates. So you're just, again, letting them know this is what's available for you. And then you're just letting them sit there and go, is that something you feel like is worth it today? Is that something you'd like to do today? And it's totally okay if it's not. I just want you to have all the information of what this can do for you. And then at that point, they might be like, okay, I really want to think about it, or I have to talk to my husband. What I like to do at that point is say, okay, great. At this point, in order for us to close the loop and have one final conversation, I like to just book a follow-up call, quick 15-minute call in the next 48 hours. It'll give you a chance to talk to your husband, decide if this is right for you, and then we can have a quick follow-up call to make that decision so that we can close this out so that you know you're the one way or the other, and so that I know one way or the other, and we can both move on from there. And then I'll say, this is the time I have. Does that work for you? And then I just schedule a follow-up, right? Okay. Now, here's what happens at the end of a call. So let's say they say yes. I'm going to say, Bree, they said, you know what? This is expensive, but it's worth it. And I want to do it. Now you want to give them clarity on how to move forward. So let's say they're a yes. You want to give them clarity on how to move forward. You're like, okay, great. Here's what's going to happen. First thing we're going to do is book your first decluttering session. This is what I have on the books. And you start talking about actually scheduling them on your calendar. Okay. So this is what'll happen. Let's get you scheduled on the books. I'm going to send you an invoice and the contract, whatever your process is. I'm going to send you an invoice. And then to get started, you can say whatever your policy is. So to get started, I'll just need $1,000 deposit in the next 48 hours. Would there be anything getting in the way of you making that deposit so that we can get you scheduled for your first session? And they might be like, nope, it'll be good. Okay, great. And I'll say, just want to remind you of this one thing. When people make a commitment to change their life, when people make a commitment that they want to do something, it's kind of like when you want to go work out and hire a personal trainer. When you're committed is when you want to make the investment, just because something always tends to come up, something always is going to get in the way. So I just recommend making the investment in the first 48 hours just so you have it off your list, you've got it checked off, and then you know that I'm already coming and we're moving forward on getting your house clean so you can have peace and abundance in your house, right? And then you're in the energy of very clear commitment, very clear this is when the payment's due, very clear this is when we get started, right? And then you say something like, I'm so excited to get started with you. I'll go ahead and send you over that document and I will get you booked on my calendar for that first session as soon as I receive that payment. And I look forward to seeing you. And then you end the call. Now, here is what people don't talk about as well. After the call, you are going to feel vulnerability hangover. You just did some mental gymnastics. You just felt a bunch of feelings in your body. You're gonna feel a little shaky, a little wobbly, a little unstable, even if they say yes. People say yes to me, my brain is like, they hate me. Every time, my brain's like, they hate me. So you just have to be able to hold space for that moment of everybody hates me, I did such a bad job. So what I do afterwards is I usually go on a walk. I give myself 30 minutes to lay down, take a couple deep breaths. I'm like, I did okay. That was good. I'm really proud of myself. And then I go to the most vital step, which is doing an evaluation of that consultation. What worked? What didn't work? What would I do differently? Okay. And then this is what I work with my one-on-one clients on. And this is what we're going to be spending the majority of our time on inside Permission to Profit, is going through and having these conversations about consults and being able to evaluate them. I find the biggest problem with my clients and my students is they feel extreme shame and they feel really bad when somebody doesn't say yes to them. And then they don't know how to deal with those feelings. So what ends up happening is they stop making offers, they stop booking consults, and then they end up having no money. And so what I want to teach you over 6 months inside Permission to Profit is how to consistently show up, consistently book consults, consistently have those courageous conversations, and be able to take care of your emotions whenever you're feeling vulnerable, right? And get back into connection, get back into service, and get back out there to help the person who is ready today. All right? All right. So we got 5 minutes left. I'm about to give you your homework, but I'm going to check into the comments before. Oh, Gina, thank you. Gina says, I love my consult call with you. Great. Yeah, it really is about the feelings. All right. In the comments, go ahead and type in, what is your takeaway? I just gave you a lot. I just taught so much. And I want to offer that just this training right now, just this, can make you $5,000, can make you $2,500. Just following this process is going to make you money. But don't let it get you overwhelmed. Don't get in perfectionism. Just tell me what your takeaway is from doing the consult process. And especially Nikki, because I know you got one coming up today. All right. So here is going to be your homework. All right, I need to rewatch this recording. Yes, but Nikki, I'm just going to tell you your takeaway. Your takeaway is mostly getting in calm, connected energy before you get on the consult. So take an hour and write out all your intentional thoughts, all your intentional feelings, why this coaching is going to be the best for them. And when you're in that connected, loving place, then you go into the consultation with just listening and being present. Okay? Yes. Marissa says, connection, we are all human. Yes. Bree says, continuing to redirect them to the results when they have objections and hold space. Yes. Holding space. Yes. Amazing. All right. Here's your homework. Your homework is to come up with 10, let's say 5 to 10, but 10 would be better. 10 assessment questions. So this would be when you're going into finding out what the problem is, 10 assessment questions for your niche. So I'm going to use, we'll use Nikki for an example. So if they're in their 20s and they're in a hot mess, you might say, tell me what's going on in the area of career. Tell me what's going on in the area of finances. Tell me what's going on in the area of relationships. And then you might say, how do you want this to change? How do you want this to feel? Okay? So you're asking these inquisitive, open-ended questions so they can give you a lot of information. Okay, so 10 assessment questions. And then the other part of this is I want you to write out your solution in 3 to 5 steps. Okay? And I saw Nikki do this really well when she did her post yesterday. She said something like, this is what we're going to work on. Managing your mindset, managing your emotions. Like there was a couple things, right? So for me, if I'm talking about my Permission to Profit group, we're going to work on 5 things. We're going to work on spiritual selling. We're going to work on easy marketing. We're going to work on planning for profit. We're going to work on managing and processing our emotions. And then we're going to work on strategies in your business. So those are the 5 key things that we're going to work on. And we're hitting everywhere from spirituality to mindset to money blocks to sales to marketing, right? So that's something that's really clear. This is the process. This is the solution I'm going to take you through so that you can start making 10K months. All right? Okay. Ufense says, my main takeaway is the power of slowing down and being meditative and evaluating the consult. Yes, you all can do this. So not only do you have your homework in this group, make sure you're continuing to post. So for the rest of this challenge, make an external post, just like I taught you to do yesterday. Tag me in it so that I can recognize you. Continue to show up, continue to make offers, and then now you're ready for the consult, all right? And then I'm just going to remind you, if you've never done a consult with me, come over here. Go to CamiKennedy.vip, pop on a consult call for 60 minutes, completely free. The best way to get experience on a consult is to go through one yourself. And this will be for my Permission to Profit group, which is starting in January. And when you sign up for early enrollment is from now until December 15th, you're going to get 3 bonuses. You're going to get my Manifesting Abundance course. You're going to get 3 bonus calls with me before the course even starts. And you're going to get a one-on-one 30-minute welcome call with me. Okay? So head to CamiKennedy.vip, book your consult with me today, and go off. Be blessed. Be connected. Be abundant. You are here to help people. Yes, Susan says post, post, post. Gina, you are so welcome. All right, everybody, I've got a one-on-one client, so I got to pop off. You're doing amazing. I will see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.